Hey there, friend. Welcome to Create Conversations. This podcast is designed to connect you with entrepreneurs and creatives from across the country and sometimes around the world. When I was first starting my business, I really didn't have that sense of community to connect with, to bounce ideas off of, to really know that I'm going the right direction or was doing something right. That's why I created this podcast, to give you that community in hopes that it can inspire you and drive you forward through your entrepreneurial journey. So without further ado, let's create some conversations. Hi friends, welcome to Create Conversations podcast. I'm so excited to be here with Brooklyn from the Artisan Abode. She has amazing calligraphy that she does for all of her wedding clients. And today we are going to be talking about knowing your client base, since Brooklyn has a very specific client base. So why don't you start off by telling me a little about yourself and your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, my name is Brooklyn. I am a mother and a wife. My son is 2. My husband and I have been together for almost 7 years. They are my absolute world. But close behind them is my business that I'm absolutely in love with. Like she said, I do calligraphy and stationery design. So everything from invitations to signs, place cards, envelope addressing. Those are really my main fortes. I started my business when I was 7 months pregnant in my final year of college and working an internship back in October of 2016. And 2.5 years later, almost 3 years, we're here.
That is so crazy. So, I know you've told me a little about this, but why did you start in this business in particular?
My company started kind of accidentally. I was working with a wedding planner and just as an intern, because I thought that's what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to be an event planner. And we had some clients that needed some signs done. And our client just asked us, does anyone here have good handwriting? And I was like, kinda. I mean, I could do them. They look all right. So I offered to do them. I didn't charge her a single dime. And the wedding planner that I was working for, she was like, people have businesses based off of this stuff. And I was like, what? No, they don't. Not for handwriting. What? And so she really pushed me to pursue this potential that I had. And so I just fell into this business that I accidentally created out of a passion that I didn't even know I had, and I fell in love with it, and it has been the best decision for me that I've ever made.
That is amazing. And you're full-time now, right?
It's my full-time gig. Like I said, I started this. Oops, my bad.
No worries.
I started this when I was 7 months pregnant. So I was also working at a hotel at that time. And that was a very toxic job. So I was desperate to find something else after my maternity leave. And so I applied to a position at a job in Nashville, and it was a great company, great steady income. It would have been great. But this just felt so right. And I was so passionate about it, that I took a leap of faith and dove right into it. I was making no money at the time, but it just felt so right. And, I've never wanted anything more, so I went for it.
Yeah.
It worked.
That's so, I love that story so much. It's just so cool. So how would you share what is your specific target audience? Because I know it's not the traditional, calligraphy, beautiful.
Yeah, so my target audience is not your bride next door.
Mm-hmm.
Your typical bride, your typical wedding is very, light and colorful and very dainty, feminine elements. And not to say that that's not all beautiful, because it totally is.
Yeah.
I love it. But, when I got married, I noticed that there was a lack in our industry for brides who were a little bit like myself, kind of more drawn to the dark and moody tones of the wedding industry, and wanted some rock and roll vibes thrown in there and a little bit of an edge. So I am kind of targeting those brides, the brides who want a little edge to their wedding, who aren't afraid to wear a black wedding dress,
Yeah. That's so awesome. Because I know that's something that's in photography too, that they're not
everything's very light and airy.
Everyone's light and airy, almost to the point of, well, for my personal taste, almost to the point of totally blowing out a picture.
Yes, yeah, where you can barely tell any detail in it, which it still looks good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, like
but...
there is an art to that too,
Yes.
making it between like complete blowout and not. But yeah, I think also like there needs to be more of a side for that, because not everyone wants to has that view or has that style.
I agree. Yeah.
So, along with my other questions, why did you decide that? Well, we kind of touched on why you decided this was your target market, but like how did you know that there was other people out there?
Well, okay, so I got married in March of this year, so just a couple of months ago, and when I was planning my wedding, I felt like there was just such a lack in the industry, and it was hard for me to find decor. It was hard for me to even find like inspiration for how I wanted my own invitations to look like.
Oh, wow.
You know, there's just not much for brides who want to have a little edgy style vibe to their wedding. And so, you know, knowing that, I was like, you know, right now, you know, before I switched my brand, I was just doing what was popular, what I thought my brides wanted to see, which is the light and airy vibe and delicate and dainty. And so when I was planning my own wedding and I was a bride struggling to find what I wanted, I was like, duh. Yeah. I am my target audience. Right. I am the kind of bride that I need to be catering to because there's not enough of us. Yeah. And so once I realized that, I was like, this just makes sense. Yeah. Sorry, I put that on silent. Yeah, so I kind of rebranded my company, and I have never felt more connected to my work. I've never felt more connected to my clients. And I've never been more excited about the work that I'm creating. It feels right to me.
That's awesome. Did you, like, I know you said it feels right to you, but was there any, like, sense of doubt, like, maybe I'm wrong? Maybe there's not enough people out there?
Yes, I was like, you know, not, they're, like, the type of brides that I want to target, there's not a ton of them. Yeah. And it kind of concerned me. I was like, what if there's not enough of us out there to find me, to hire me, to want me? You know, what if, you know, maybe I should just keep doing what's popular because there's so many brides out there that want that style. Right. But then I thought, you know, since there aren't so many designers and calligraphers like myself that cater to those brides, like those brides are needing people like me. And so yeah, there was a little hesitation, but at the end of it, I was just like, no, like this is what needs to be done. Like, this is who I am, and this is my company. I can do with it what I want. Right. And there's no reason that I should be, you know, this person outside of my business and this person inside of my business. Like, why not merge the two together? Why not just be fully myself and let it flow into my company and serve the brides who are like myself?
Right. Yeah. Because if you're not yourself, it's really reflected in your work. Yeah. And you're not showcasing who you really are, because if you're trying to imitate someone else, it's gonna show.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and people who know me, like my friends and my family, they were probably looking at my work and be like, that's beautiful, but like, that came from Brooklyn?
Right. What? That's not you. That's not you. Right. So what would you say sets your brand apart from other calligraphers or companies like yours?
Well, you know, like we said, my style, you know, a lot of stationery and calligraphy artists are much more geared toward the mainstream bride, and that's awesome. But I think that mine is geared more towards the offbeat bride. But beyond that, you know, you either find a calligrapher or you find a stationery designer. It's very rare that you find one who can do both. So I think being skilled in both stationery design and calligraphy is something that sets me apart from my competition. Yeah. So beyond that, I also, you know, yes, I can create a style of calligraphy that really vibes with my offbeat branding and the, you know, the edgy style, but I can also incorporate an elegant calligraphy style that still looks pretty bold and pretty edgy, but it still has a little bit of class. So even if there are the brides out there that kind of want a little bit something different, but they still want it to be classy enough to really make it feel like a wedding, I offer multiple calligraphy styles that cater to both. Oh, wow. So I can do elegant calligraphy, or I could do a little bit fun and modern and youthful calligraphy.
So how does that, is that just like something you're like, okay, when you talk to a client, they kind of say, you kind of get the vibe of them, and then how do you train your mind to say, like, I'm gonna do this instead of this?
So, well, first off, it just kind of starts with practicing. First I originally started with, the elegant looking calligraphy. And then I just kind of was like, well, let's see if I can do a different style. And so I just kind of, practiced and found a different style that would work more towards the offbeat kind of style of imitations and whatnot. But as far as knowing what my client wants, when they inquire for stationery design or calligraphy, they get a whole questionnaire to fill out. And so they get to tell me a little bit about themselves, a little bit about the style that they're wanting. If they have a Pinterest board, I give the option for them to link it there so I can view it. And then once they decide to hire me and we start the design process, I will actually give them 3 to 6 different calligraphy styles to choose from.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually take the time to create different styles for them, and once they get that in hand, they get to hand select what they like. So
is that something that you think is common with calligraphers, that they give different styles, or do you think that's also something that's different for you?
I don't know that a lot of them do, actually.
Okay.
Most calligraphers out there kind of have one overall style that they work within.
Okay.
They might have different styles of that kind of vibe of calligraphy with slight variations. But being a calligrapher that offers totally different looking styles, I don't think that's very common. So that might be something that also sets me apart from the rest.
Yeah. That's just so cool. So you probably had one that you started with. Did you, like, over time, were people kind of requesting something different, or were you just thinking, maybe I should offer something different?
I have had certain people that will be like, can you do something that's a little bit more like this? And they'll show me a picture, and I'll kind of pull inspiration from that and then put my own twist on it. So it's been a little bit of both, honestly.
Oh, okay. So when they inquire, do you kind of have, like, a thought of, like, okay, like, they may be wanting this, like, when people inquire, or is it just kind of like, who knows?
It really depends on their answers to my questionnaire.
Okay.
I will have some brides that tell me, word for word what they want in their design or in their project. And I'm like, okay, cool, that's awesome. Then I'll get the brides that have no clue what they want. And I'm like, all right, we are starting from page 1, starting from scratch.
Yeah.
And those are kind of a little bit more of a challenge. And sometimes I really have to be like, okay, you have to give me something to go off of. You have to tell me, are you into watercolor? Are you into nature themed things or whatever? Are you into geometric? Like, I have to have something to go off of.
Right.
But once I get a guide from my brides, a little insight up to what they want, I kind of take it from there and just kind of, ideas get flowing in my brain. I start, searching my graphics and just kind of take it from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So because you said you also do stationery design as well, do you have a background in graphic design, or have you just like...
I don't. I am totally self-taught.
That is amazing though.
It's difficult sometimes, especially when I first started learning. I had no idea what I was doing. My first, she didn't even hire me, but the first girl that like inquired for custom design stationery, I literally created something in Word, Microsoft Word. I had no clue what I was doing. But it's just been an evolution of learning and asking questions to people who know the answers.
Yeah.
And, there's a whole world out there for calligraphers and stationery designers who are so supportive of each other, and we all just we'll ask a question, we'll answer a question, and it's a Facebook group, of course.
right as everything is,
right. But I've learned so much from just other people and teaching myself and Googling, and everything is at your fingertips if you just take the time and the effort to pursue it and find it out. If I don't know the answer to something, I'm gonna figure it out.
Okay. What advice would you give other entrepreneurs finding their client base?
Find something that speaks to you and go with it. Like we talked about before, don't just go with what you think is popular, what you think is mainstream. Find what speaks to you. Be your true self and let that reflect into your business. And, don't just get a logo with the kind of brand that you want and call it a day. Really let your branding kind of seep out into all aspects of your company, you know, your social media presence, the language that you use on your website and when you communicate with clients. You know, if you want to be an upscale brand with elegance dripping everywhere, then you need to talk to your clients that way. If you want to be a laid back company that, you know, it's a little bit youthful and modern, then, you know, be chill with your clients.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
like our standards, but
yeah, still be professional, but, you know, that's kind of the vibe that I have in my company. And me and my clients basically talk to each other like we're friends. We're like, hey, girl, like, what's up?
How's it going?
Hope you're doing good. Just wanted to check in with you about this and this and this.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's another thing that I think really helps me connect with my clients. You know, just treating them like, you know, they're one of my girlfriends.
Right. And you also know where they are.
Yeah.
Because you've been there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I was there not too long ago. And I totally get that planning a wedding is like taking on a whole nother full-time job. And you need 2 weeks to get back to me, take your time.
Yeah, it's okay. You have other people.
Right. But yeah, so let whoever, like whatever brand that you're taking on and whatever target audience that you're trying to attract, just let that be a total reflection within your business. That's what I've done, and it's been great for me so far.
Do you think that when you started and you were kind of doing some stuff that was more the popular, do you think that set you back at all, or do you wish that you would have? Well, you probably wish you would have started off with this first, but
I wouldn't say that it set me back, but it was definitely an opportunity to learn something about myself and learn something about the industry. You know, I don't know, I guess to me it's all a learning process, and like even though like that might not have been the right avenue for me to walk down, it's the avenue that I walked down to get me to where I am today.
Right.
And you know, I'm still not done. You know, I just recently rebranded, and so, you know, there's still so many different things that I want to do to really push this new branding out into the world. Like I want to start a semi-custom suite design and whatnot. But, you know, being the brand that I was, it was just part of my journey, you know?
It was just there.
Yeah.
So what, it's kind of one of our last questions. What is the best thing to you about being an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh. There's
it's
so
a loaded
many
question.
good things. It never feels like a job. It never does. You know, growing up, I always heard the phrase, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I used to think that was the most absurd sentence in the English language. I kid you not. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, sure, you can like what you do, but you're still going to be going to work. You're still going to be doing a job. Like, of course, it's going to feel like a job. But ever since I've started this company, I now know what that means.
Yeah.
And I feel so blessed to know what that actually feels like. I never feel like I'm working. I never dread getting up in the morning and going into my office and starting my day. It's so rewarding each and every day. So that's one of the amazing things about being an entrepreneur. The other amazing things is making my own schedule, being there for everything, you know, family and friend events, birthdays, holidays. Like, I never have to worry, am I going to be working? Do I have to request off? Like, it's my time, and I get to make my own schedule, and it's giving me invaluable time with my son as he's, you know, been growing up. So yeah, those are probably the best things about being an entrepreneur. There's so many others, but
yeah. But this has been amazing to talk with you, and I'm so excited for you and everything that you're doing.
Thanks for having me.
So, where can everyone find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram at _ The Artisan Abode.
Okay.
Facebook, it's just The Artisan Abode. And then my website is www.theartisanabode.com.
Sweet. All right. So until next time, we'll see you guys later.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching and listening to today's podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you leave a review because that really, really helps us grow the show. If you want to continue to support this podcast, head over to our Patreon from the link in the description or the link in the show notes, where you can sign up for one of 3 tiers where you get exclusive merch, a direct line to me to tell me who I should have on the show, as well as getting to hear and see the podcast days before it releases to the public. I'm so excited for all the other exciting things that I'm going to be sharing with my patrons, and I can't wait to see you there. This podcast is also sponsored by HoneyBook, HoneyBook is an amazing client management service that I've been using for years, and they are absolutely incredible. They are so incredible that they're giving you guys an exclusive deal for 50% off your first year with them. That is a $200 savings, which is so crazy and so amazing. So you guys should head over to the link in the description or the link in the show notes to grab that amazing deal. This podcast is edited and produced by Earbrads. You can find them at Earbrads on Instagram or at earbrads.com. You can find me at Vanessa Jordan Photo on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest, and you can also find me on my YouTube channel, Vanessa Jordan Photography, if you are listening to the podcast version and not watching the YouTube version of this podcast. And you can also find me at VanessaJordanPhotograph.com. And until next time, I cannot wait to create some amazing conversations with you.